Johnson is expected to mark his first anniversary as Prime Minister by rewarding Brexit loyalists, including Sir Ian Botham, with peerages. The England cricketer is one of about 30 new peers to be announced this month. Well, Pete Wishart is a Scottish National Party MP and the party's shadow spokesman for the Cabinet Office. He joins me now from his constituency in Perthshire. Hello to you, Pete Wishart. It hasn't been confirmed by number 10, but how does Lord Botham or even Lord Beefy sound to you?
I mean, this is just the most absurd and ridiculous political institution anywhere in the world. 775 members. It dwarfs the elected chamber and is second only in size to the People's Congress of China. Now we're going to be having a whole raft of Brexiteers appointed by the Prime Minister to have a part in our legislature. Our legislature. These people can now make laws, can now make amendments, can initiate legislation. And what's his qualification? He's a cricketer who supported Brexit. It is absolutely absurd, and that this country should no longer put up with this absurd institution.
He may be a Brexit loyalist, but there are some prominent Remainers on the list too, and some of those who gave the Prime Minister some real headaches aren't there. Ken Clarke, Philip Hammond and Ed Vaizey also in the line for peerages.
So I'm not really interested about who these people are, what they've done, what contribution they've made. I'm interested in this as an institution. These are people that will decide the future of our country, who could determine legislation, and they're doing it unelected. This was in the gift of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister decides who goes in. It's his donors, it's his cronies, it's placement, it's people he might think he owes a favour to, and it's all down to...
Yes, but what I'm saying is you can't say it's about giving a favour to one when there are others, prominent Remainers also on the list.
Well, you know, I mean, it's also up to the Prime Minister to decide who doesn't get in. And of course there's Remainers on the list. There has to be some sort of an ebb to balance in this. But the Brexiteers greatly outweigh the Remainers when it comes to this. Now, let's look at two candidates for the House of Lords. Ian Botham, Brexiteer, cricketer. John Bercow, former Speaker of the House of Commons with something like 25 years political experience. I'll ask your listeners, who is more qualified to have a role in deciding the laws of this country? Who's more qualified? And I think when you look to a man and a woman, they would be saying the former Speaker of the House of Lords. But it's not up to anybody to decide that. It's up to an electorate, to democracy. It is up to the Prime Minister. He will appoint his donors, his cronies, his placemen, his friends, those people that he owes favours to. It has to stop. Enough is enough. Bloated, ermine-coated, never been voted. Let's get rid of this absurd and ridiculous institution once and for all.
The institution is what it is, and we'll talk a little bit more about potential reform in just a moment. But as for Sir Ian, does his cricketing success, one of the most outstanding cricketers of his generation, if not the most outstanding, as someone who has raised millions of pounds for charity, does that not earn him a place?
Well, make him Spokesman of the Year. You know, I mean, what qualification has he got to make up the laws of this country? What qualifications has he got? Nobody's voting for him. It seems that he's a Brexiteer, so that somehow gets him onto this list. Now, we have to decide and determine how we run this country. We can have half of it run by people within the gift of a Prime Minister to decide who will make the laws of the country. Or what we do is this little quaint notion that we refer to as democracy, where the people of this country decide who should sit in our legislature. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I prefer the democracy aspect to all of this.
You talked about the bloating of the House of Lords and the outdated institution. The government wants to be more in touch with areas outside of London, been talking about moving various elements outside. What about the Lords moving to Scotland? Would that satisfy you?
It doesn't matter where this place sits. It's the nature of the institution. It's what it does, the role that it has in the democracy. It's how it's determined and decided. It doesn't matter whether it sits in Reykjavik in Iceland or on the side of the Thames in London. It is what this place does. Second only in size to the People's Congress of China. And you know, there's still 80 aristocrats in the place. 80 people who are deciding the laws of this country because they are the firstborn of a family that won a decisive battle in the Middle Ages. Come on, this isn't the Game of Thrones. This is the 5th largest economy in the world, and we have people there through birthright who are deciding how the laws of this country are constructed. Surely, British people, you cannot accept this any longer. This absurd, ridiculous institution must be reformed. In fact, it shouldn't be reformed, it should just be abolished, so prime ministers can't decide which of his Brexit friends can decide the laws of this country.
Okay, you've made your point loud and clear. Pete Wishart, thank you very much indeed for joining us there from Persia.